A brand new Battle Royale lands out of nowhere, but how does the Titan fall? You see what I did there? Because it's made by Respawn, the people who made Titanfall, and some people are annoyed that this isn't Titanfall 3. Yes, we're talking about Apex Legends, the brand new Battle Royale that has literally just splashed down almost out of nowhere. It basically got leaked, I think, primarily by Slasher, of all people, of course. He's one leaky boy. And he basically broke the news that, hey, yeah, a brand new Battle Royale is going to be coming out literally on Feb 4th. I think this news was unveiled on, like, Feb 1st. And everyone was kind of like, what? And then there's a whole bunch of, like, media stuff that was ready to go, so they had done their, like, press rounds, and they had got some influencers in to try it and stuff, so there was content ready to go, but it basically came out of nowhere. There was no huge media circus, there was no massive open beta, there was no VIP access for pre-orders, there was no, oh, well, let's do a vague advertising campaign with viral marketing, and you have to decode and do piece-by-piece analysis on every single aspect of the game as it's released. As someone who did content like that for a certain other game, I can tell you that, yes, people probably get a bit fatigued of learning about, oh, well, we've got new details on this new aspect of this map here that one pixel has changed. Like, that sort of stuff wears a bit thin. We have a game that literally just released, and it worked. Unbelievably, right? As I talked about Anthem not too long ago with its VIP demo that barely worked and looked really sloppy, EA need to get BioWare in touch with Respawn, because this just came out straight away. I downloaded it through Origin without too many issues. The download paused once or twice, but honestly, it just started downloading straight away. Once again, enjoy stream footage here of me shaking around a loading screen. 18! Straight away to 18! Oh my god! You've never seen action like it. 19! Oh, look at the speed! Oh, we're going now 10, 11 megabytes per second. His power level's off the charts. It's... oh... 14 megs a second, 20%, oh my god, it's gone mad! High quality content that you can expect from me, and yeah, it was working, right? It worked. I literally got into a game, played a couple of games with a couple of friends, and had no issues at all. The game functioned. And there were some problems. It wasn't without flaws. Apparently, still on the Xbox Live marketplace, you still can't pay money to them and get cosmetics, which, oh boo-hoo, you can't give the company cash within the first 24 hours. Honestly, you probably shouldn't anyway. And on the PC, there was apparently an infinite loading bug as well that they fixed very quickly. So yeah. Good job. Like, it's unbelievable to me that, you know, after making a video that was literally, hey, yeah, we should expect better, this is what we should expect, right? This is the standard. This isn't even the gold standard, this is the standard. The game came out, and it worked. You could play it immediately without too many issues, and it functioned, right? Like, how is that a shocking thing? This shouldn't be news. Like, this is what annoys me. This shouldn't be news. But it's news, because this happens so rarely that a game releases and just works. So yeah, congratulations to Respawn for that. Now, more interesting than the game itself, in my mind, is always the things surrounding the game. Like, this is where I'm always more interested in what people are saying, what people are talking about, what people are discussing around the game, around the release. And there are a couple of criticisms that I do see levied quite a lot at the game. Some fair, some kind of unfair. The first big criticism I see is oftentimes, well, it's an EA game.
EA games challenge everything.
Fair enough. Fair enough. EA have given you no reason to trust them. EA have given you no reason to believe that they are not just trying to punch you and take your money. The relationship, I would say, between EA and its consumers is antagonistic, which is fascinating to me, and it's a video that I'll probably dedicate, you know, an entire video of its own to, which is this growing culture in the gaming sphere where the relationship between the companies and making the games and publishing the games and the consumers has become increasingly antagonistic. People do not trust large developers anymore, and honestly, they probably shouldn't. And yeah, it just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. It feels more exploitative than ever, it feels more unfriendly than ever, and EA are definitely at the forefront of that. Winner of the Golden Poo twice running, I do believe, in front of companies like Goldman Sachs that literally tanked an entire economy. So fair enough, it's got EA behind it. Keep your eye out for anything nefarious, keep your eye out for anything that's unpleasant, but honestly, as far as I can tell, this just seems to be a well-made, competent game overall that is trying to entice you to the Origin platform. Whether or not you want to install Origin is completely up to you. Personally, I don't mind installing different launchers on my computer. They're not very big, and my computer's got a big fat processor in it, so it can run them. So yeah, I'm okay with that, and the game is quite fun, so seems a good trade-off to me. There is, of course, in-game money transactions, microtransactions for cosmetics, and there's some for unlocking characters as well with gameplay elements. Less happy about that, but it is free to play, so you are going to make trade-offs somewhere. Fair enough, I suppose. The other big criticism I see levied at the game is that it isn't Titanfall 3, right? Which kind of makes sense and kind of doesn't make sense at the same time. First and foremost, the game is called Apex Legends. It isn't called Titanfall 3, so saying that it isn't Titanfall 3 is kind of, yeah, it's not. It really isn't. The weirdest part to me, though, is the fact that Respawn, the development company behind it, have been advertising it as set in the Titanfall universe, which seems an unusual move to me. Like, I don't understand why they've decided to do that, aside from, like, trying to cling, I suppose, to the old Titanfall branding, which... Really? Like, people like Titanfall, don't get me wrong, people like Titanfall 1, and then it just kind of petered out. And talking about hype circuses, like Titanfall 1, if you can remember the days leading up to release, or the months, I suppose, leading up to release of that, they wanted that to be the next Halo. They advertised that everywhere. The marketing campaign for that game was insane. The budget on that, like, the marketing campaign must have been like twice as much as the development cost for the game itself. They really tried to overhype that one, and it kind of just went... And then Titanfall 2 came out, and people like Titanfall 2, but it came out, I think, around the same time that Overwatch came out, and so, yeah, it just sort of went straight away. Like, people liked it, people say it still has one of the best single-player campaigns of any FPS game, and the multiplayer was a lot of fun. But it just kind of died on its ass, and as much as people say they loved it, well, they clearly didn't love it enough to make it successful, so... I kind of don't blame them for not making Titanfall 3 as an end result. It just... There's no incentive there for them to do so. If Titanfall 1 didn't really hit expectation, Titanfall 2 definitely performed under expectation. Titanfall 3 doesn't seem a realistic prospect to me, at least especially not by a company as big as EA. If there was a small indie developer that was very passionate about its game and catered to a small community, that's when you're going to expect something like Titanfall 3. EA, I'm surprised that Respawn actually still exists and wasn't just like merged into the conglomerate beast and part of the hydra that has become EA. So while I can understand the criticism that this isn't Titanfall 3, it still isn't Titanfall 3, so it's still kind of an unfair criticism in that regard where, yes, you are comparing it to a game series that it is not a part of. It's tangentially linked to that universe, but it is its own beast. This is Apex Legends, not TF3, I suppose, is the main thrust. People have highlighted as well that, like, the movement mechanics were changed. The developer actually did come out and explain that quite well, I thought, as well, which is that in a Battle Royale game, you generally need, positioning is very important in a Battle Royale game, so if you see someone run behind a building, you need to know that they're probably behind the building. You need an idea and a frame of where that guy is positioned. With Titanfall's movement, he could be anywhere. He could just be like running across the roof doing a backflip and one-shotting your brains out. He could be climbing up a wall somewhere. He could be parkouring off everything. It became very confusing apparently, and as a result they pared down the mechanics and got to where they are now, which is some very free movement. I've got to say the movement feels free-flowing. It feels very good overall. It feels better than Blackouts, for example, but it still doesn't have that complete freedom that Titanfall did. And then on the arse end of the internet, there are of course the usual complaints that there aren't enough waifus in the game, that the character designs are ugly, and that, all this kind of stuff. Personally, I think they're fine. They don't really grab me is my only issue, and I think one of my issues with the game as a whole is that the visuals, as bright as they are, it also feels very muddy. It feels very unclear about a lot of the graphic designs. It's not as crisp and sharp as some of the others, and so nothing's really that grabbing. They definitely seem to be pushing the robot character with the box, and I think that's definitely a good idea because that is definitely the most iconic character design they have. The other character designs feel a little bit cluttered in my mind. They feel a little bit over-designed, almost a little bit too visually busy, need paring down to simplify the concept slightly. I do also like the Maori guy, who's a big tank who does like the hacker when you select him. He looks awesome. But yeah, otherwise the designs, they definitely aren't as grabbing as, say, Overwatch's designs, or even like Paladins or similar games, League of Legends, Dota. Like, these designs are much cleaner, crisper, more recognizable, I suppose, and as a result are going to be much more iconic. The Apex Legends characters, they seem to suffer, in my mind, a little bit from the, not Paladins, what was the other one, the one that failed? Lawbreakers. The Lawbreakers issue, where it had that very realistic, gritty vibe to it visually, and as a result, the characters just didn't really jump out in any way. They just kind of looked like a mess. And yeah, I kind of understand that they look like a mess, but then also there's the complaints that, this clearly is the SJWs with their diversity in this bizarre future world, and the usual complaints from the arse end of the internet, basically. Very tiresome to hear, but it's still people talking about stuff, so hey, it's worth mentioning. Praise for the game does seem pretty well robust, however. Like, people are very excited about this. It just seems far more interesting. It seems to cater more towards the hardcore audience than Fortnite does. Blackout has kind of run out of steam very quickly. I know one of the developers for Blackout came out and said relatively recently that, hey, yeah, we want to try and experiment more with Blackout. We want to try and do some more interesting things with it and try and like make it more exciting and make it more interesting, sort of cribbing the notes from Fortnite that seem to be changing things every couple of weeks, basically doing huge events every couple of weeks and introducing new things constantly. Because I think if you want to have a battle royale that exists for a long period of time, you're not competing with Fortnite, right? If you're just competing with Fortnite, it will be easy, but you're competing with Fortnite that is releasing new stuff every couple of weeks, and that's hard, right? They are releasing like content packs so quickly for that game that is constantly bringing people back into that game. Love it or hate it, you've got to respect the ability for those developers to actually continually introduce new things to the game and continue to innovate. Some people might say that they are killing their own game with a little bit too much innovation or pushing it a little bit too far in places, but at least they're doing things to try and extend the lifespan of the game, unlike some other developers that might let things sit for far too long, play it far too safe, and as a result end up with a game that just slowly fizzles out into a hot mess and doesn't really change and has problems for years and years and years and years and years and years and doesn't change and fix those problems. Am I being subtle here? So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that they have a roadmap outline. I'm going to put it on the screen. It's either going to be in the box or just on the screen itself, and as you can see from the roadmap, it includes a battle pass, new legends, new weapons, new loot, and it has the same little pictures on each part of the roadmap, so it doesn't actually really tell you anything. It just gives you some loose release dates that, hey, something's coming in March, something's coming in June, something's coming in September, something's coming in December. So at least we know that about every 2-3 months there's going to be something released into the game that is going to actually make it more interesting and hopefully keep people engaged somewhat. Again, to my mind, if you want to have a long-lived battle royale, and especially with a free-to-play game, you want it to last as long as possible so people keep spending that money. You gotta catch them whales, oh boy. Yeah, it's going to take constant re-release, it's going to take constant updating. If they can do that, then great. The other big thing that I see people praising all the time, and I'm going to praise it as well, is the in-game ping system. So when you press middle mouse button, it pings things, and it's a context-sensitive ping, so it means if you ping, say, some loot, the character literally shouts out, oh, there's some armor here, right? And it even tells you, oh, like, there's a scope here, and it's close range, right? Useful information in a Battle Royale game instead of having to tell people, and especially because it's all team-based. Like, this is very clever design. They've made it a team-based game, and they made the UI and the tools in the UI actually work with random. So you press a button and the character says relevant things and useful information to your teammates, so you don't have to use a microphone constantly, so you can communicate across separate languages as well. If someone only speaks French, for example, and I use the in-game ping system, well, I'm sure they hear it in French, and so they get the relevant information. It means that you can work and function as a team without having to rely entirely on voice chat. You can just use the in-game tools, and I really actually like that. Overall, I'm curious to see where this game goes. The microtransaction system seems quite expensive to me, but again, it's free to play, so I'm probably not going to spend a cent on this game, and as a result, I am going to enjoy a free game. If you like it enough to pay money for it, then that's going to be up to you. In my mind, it looks a little bit too pricey for my pocket. I would rather spend my money elsewhere, but that's up to you, I suppose. At the end of the day, it's going to be down to you as the consumer. What I'm curious to see is how many new heroes, new characters they release, and how priced they are, and how you can earn those characters. If you can only buy them, for example, that would kind of suck. But again, free to play, so you've got to sort of shake hands with the devil at some point, and they are going to try and get some cash from you at some point. If you can get them free, then great. If it's a massive grind, then not so great, but we'll see how that one shakes out in the future. I'm actually curious to know what you guys think. Have you even heard of this game? Like, I know when I streamed it, a lot of people were like, well, what is this game? Where did this come from? Why is everyone talking about this? Have you missed this game entirely? Did you like the release? Have you tried it? Have you played it? What did you like? What didn't you like? All that good stuff. Alright guys, thank you for watching to the end. I've been Josh, as one voice amongst many. If you do want to see more content like this, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and ding the bell as well if you want to be notified about when a new video goes live. My release schedule is a bit erratic, so probably worth doing. Otherwise, yeah, thank you so much for watching to the end, and I'll see you next time. Toodles.